Okay, let's unpack this deep dive. We've got a really fascinating source here today.
Yes, it's a report, seems like straight from the Squid Research Lab.
Exactly,
Yeah,
dropped on the Nintendo of America YouTube.
yeah,
And it's packed, packed with announcements about Splatoon's future.
right. So our mission really is to filter through all that, pull out the key takeaways, and figure out what it means for you.
And there's definitely a lot to get through. The first big splash, the really new thing,
Yeah, you mean the spinoff?
yes,
Yeah.
the first ever Splatoon spin-off game. It's called Splatoon Raiders.
Splatoon Raiders, okay? Interesting name.
And the report mentioned, you play as a mechanic exploring these mysterious Spiralite Islands.
And alongside Deep Cut, no less.
Right.
Yeah.
That feels like a totally different energy for Splatoon, doesn't it?
It really does. A big shift. The report notes it's launching exclusively on the upcoming Nintendo Switch 2.
Okay, Switch 2 exclusive.
Though they did say, research is ongoing, so details are still a bit fuzzy.
Yeah, sure. Early days.
Yeah.
But importantly, this report also had big news for current Splatoon 3 players.
Oh, yeah. A pretty substantial free update. Coming very soon, actually, June 12th.
This is where it gets really interesting for people playing right now.
Mm-hmm. We're getting the Splatlands collection, new weapons.
Inspired by older ones, right? But with new looks.
New looks and, crucially, different sub-weapons and specials. That's the key part. New kits.
And they mentioned quite a few, didn't they? Like,
About 30, I think, the report identified. New or, well, revamped weapons.
wow, 30 plus for the really dedicated players.
Higher freshness caps and new badges to earn for hitting those higher levels.
Yeah.
More bragging rights, basically.
Always good.
Mm.
But maybe the biggest change, especially for competitive play.
Ah, you have to be talking about the new stat.
Right.
For Anarchy Battle Series.
Exactly. Series weapon power.
Yes. This is a key detail. The report is specific. It tracks your effectiveness, like your win-loss ratio.
With each individual weapon you use.
Precisely, per weapon.
Okay.
And then, get this, it uses that stat in matchmaking.
So it tries to match you with players who have similar effectiveness using the same weapon you picked.
Well, similar effectiveness for the weapon they are using matched against your effectiveness with your weapon.
Yeah.
It's about weapon proficiency matching.
Wow. Okay. That's incredibly specific. Way more granular.
It could totally reshape Anarchy Battle strategy, couldn't it? How you approach weapon choice, counterpicking.
It really could. Yeah. And speaking of returns,
Oh, right. Urchin Underpass.
a classic stage from
Yeah.
the very first game, it's coming back to the rotation.
A nice bit of nostalgia thrown in with all the new stuff.
Definitely. Finally, the report did touch on the Switch 2 again. Enhancements for players on the new hardware.
Right. It mentioned more detailed visuals and smoother performance in certain spots.
Like the square in Splatsville.
Mm-hmm.
And during grand festivals. Busy areas, basically.
Seems like it. A nice visual polish if you have the new console.
But, and this is important, they were careful to clarify.
Yes. Crossplay is maintained. Switch and Switch 2 players will still battle together. No split community.
Okay, good. That's crucial.
Definitely. So, just to quickly recap the main points here. First Splatoon spin-off, Raiders. You're a mechanic with Deep Cut, Switch 2 exclusive.
Got it.
Then Splatoon 3 gets a big free update June 12th. About 30 new revamped weapons, higher freshness, new badges, Urchin Underpass returns.
And that big one, series weapon power for Anarchy matchmaking based on per-weapon effectiveness.
Exactly. And finally, some visual boosts on Switch 2, but crossplay stays intact.
So what does all this mean for you, the listener? Well, it means brand new ways to play with the spin-off.
A potential shakeup in Splatoon 3's meta and how you get matched in Anarchy.
Right, and maybe a slightly shinier experience if you upgrade, but you can still play with everyone regardless.
It leaves us with some interesting things to think about, doesn't it? Like, how different will it actually feel to be a mechanic in those Spiralite Islands compared to inking turf?
What's the core gameplay loop going to be? And that series weapon power. What does tracking win-loss per weapon really imply for trying new things versus sticking to your main and competitive? Lots to consider.